Hey guys, so time to take a look at the new patch coming in about a week's time on Riot's schedule thingy they have. This should be a big one. I guess we don't have as many changes, but they are big ones. I want to know in the comments what you think of the first one we're going to look at. We have this brand new version of Unsealed Spellbook, completely reworked, called Open Spellbook. While out of combat, you can now swap one of your summoner spells to a new one. It's a one-time use summoner spell. Each unique one that you have will decrease your swap cooldown by 15 seconds. The first swap can happen after 5 minutes and has a 3.5 minute cooldown. You actually have to swap to 3 different summoner spells though before you can return to one that you've already used. So it's not about swapping summoners now for late game. Even though it's the same idea, it is going to work out completely differently. There are a few things. So this works even when your summoners are on cooldown now. So if you ignite somebody in a previous fight, you get out of combat, you can then swap that ignite to a ghost or whatever, use it, and that is fine. There is also this 10-second internal cooldown on it right now between summoners in the same slot. So if you swap your ignite to an exhaust after you use that new exhaust, you have to wait 10 seconds before you can use your own ignite again, as long as it's not on cooldown. I hope that kind of makes sense. Basically, it's working the same-ish way. You can swap it out of combat though anywhere on the map. You have like a minute to use this new summoner spell, and once you've used it, it goes back to normal. If a team fight lasts long enough as well, it is awesome, right? Imagine ghosting into a fight to engage, then 10 seconds later you can get to ignite somebody or whatever your base summoner spell was to finish them off. Also, if you see like a fight happening in another lane, now you can quickly grab a TP, use it to the lane, and then move around the map. Or even just like a TP back to lane, use it from base, but still have your ignite afterwards or whatever you've taken. It's actually so good. The downside is that you do need to swap 3 times before you can get back to that summoner, so you can't keep taking TP or you can't keep taking ghost every single time. I think it is really cool though, and it opens up like a lot of different options for different things. Now it's a bit more involved. Imagine bot lane, right? If you trade and you both blow your heals or something, you're both half health, and then suddenly you swap that heal to an ignite, you engage, you ignite the enemy AD and kill them. That's actually brutal. Or like as a support, right? You grab an exhaust instead of your flash just before you engage, so you have the exhaust and the ignite to fight with. That is so sick. Okay, I'm gonna stop there. There are like a million different things I think you could do with this, so many wacky and like stupid things to mess somebody up, but what do you think? Is it gonna be cool or a little bit weird? By the way, just a very quick thing before we move on to the others, you can't get a sweeping lens anymore. The red trinket like to start the game, but you can get oracles. They talked about making the duration scale with levels, but like nothing there yet on the PB for that. If you want to clear wards, you want to control the lane, set up ganks and stuff more now in the lane phase, you should be able to do it much easier with this. So we've had some gold changes before to cannon minions, right? In 8.7, which shifted gold gain a little bit. If anything, it actually makes games a lot faster. I think because if you win the lane phase, you deny cannon minions, you're killing them, that person falls a lot further behind now, and it's easier to win the game. And we're getting some more of those, the first of which should be this one. Now, if an enemy is on a killing spree, the shutdown gold you get from killing them is given to the person who got the kill, and it's not shared amongst your team. This should make it easier to get back into a game if you kill somebody who is fed, but it also should mean that the whole enemy team doesn't catch back up if you are shut down. That is what they're trying to fix now, and that is why we're having so many gold changes. Whenever I do these videos, everybody asks about the Ahri rework, and it should finally be here now in 8.8, and it is all different. Your passive has been reworked. If Ahri hits 2 spells against an enemy champion within 1.5 seconds, she's going to gain 20% move speed for 3 seconds, and that is on a 9-second cooldown. Your Q is no longer going to grant move speed because it's on your passive, but there is a new thing. It's kind of actually swapped really. Ahri's spells generate essence theft, and at 9 stacks, her next Q will also heal for each enemy hit. Her W is the same, but it's got like a new effect, so it will now focus a target if they've been hit by Ahri's charm, or if they are the most recent target that Ahri has launched a basic attack against. Her charm actually has a new thing, so when it deals damage to a champion, Ahri's abilities deal 20% more damage to them for 5 seconds, and her ultimate is basically the same. Okay, so that was quite a lot actually, but breaking it down, move speed is still there, but not on her Q anymore. It's on her passives. You can only get that boost in combat now. The heal is still there. It just moved into her passive on her Q. The biggest change is the damage amp on her charm, meaning if you hit that, you can nuke somebody down a lot easier with 20% more damage, and even your W now will target that person as well. Your W was really random before, right? Just like focus anybody, but now just like auto attack or charm somebody, then you use it and it will focus that person. So overall, we've kind of got like the same Ahri that we know and love, right? But there are more levels of depth to her as well. That means that you can show your skill a bit more. You can hopefully have more impact, and if you can hit that charm, you can definitely be the assassin that you are supposed to be. I'm honestly kind of surprised that they kept her heal, her move speed, her mobility all packed together, even if they are procced like in slightly different ways and a bit more difficult. This should make her a lot better though, and the main thing is that if you can get ahead, you can really carry now 100% because your damage is higher and more focused. The other really big change for this patch is the LeBlanc rework, which should be coming in as well. Your passive is back to mirror image, dropping below 40% health, becomes invisible for a second and creates that mirror image, so kind of like a Juki thing. Her Q is back to the old system. You mark a target when you use it on somebody, and any other spell is going to proc the mark damage, and that is where a lot of your damage comes from. Your W is the same, it just does a lot more damage now, and this is back to your wave clear spell. Your E is basically the same. Your ultimate mimics her most recent spell, casting it again, and her damage has obviously been adjusted on everything, but remember, most of your kit damage comes from those Q marks. It's really back to like proper assassin LeBlanc, how she was before, the one who uses W forward, she presses Q, R to Q again, procs a mark, and blows you up. I think it's a much easier way to play her, but it does have like a fair amount of room to show how good you are with her at the same time. The weird thing is that they changed her because she was a bit of an issue in blowing everybody up, not much counterplay, and then they just made her the same as before again. I guess with the new Rengar though, we kind of know it doesn't always work out to how it used to be, but she is going to be a lot more burst heavy now. Getting deleted in less than a second is not going to be that uncommon. The main thing that she is going to miss that will make her a little bit weaker, I think, is her wave clear. Like, she does have her W now doing a lot more damage for that reason, but it was never that good. It's also not ideal to use your escape to clear waves. So one of the things with the rework that was really good is it gave her wave clear. They nerfed that wave clear, but it was still there. Now that's going away pretty much. Final rework of the patch was kind of like a mini thing to Varus's W. The passive damage on his W is going to be lowered, but it has like a new effect. The cooldown is 40 seconds on this, by the way, but when activated, Varus's next Q, his next arrow, deals 10 to 15% of the target's missing health, and that is scaling with the Q charge. They are leaving the rest of his kit, by the way, completely alone. So same old Varus, just his extra thing added on top. And by the way, Riot thinks he will actually be too strong in 8.8 and get nerfed in the patch afterwards, so maybe one to abuse while it lasts. We already did a video on this, which I will link down below if you want to see it properly, but to recap the biggest things, it still does this 10% bonus if you insta-cancel your Q like you normally would. So it is just a flat damage increase, 100%. Whatever way you do this, you will be doing a lot more damage. It is an awesome snipe tool, obviously, if you can use it as an execute. The lower health they are, the more damage it is going to do, so don't use this at full health because it will be useless. Best case would they will be like half health or lower than half health. You have 3 blight stacks on somebody, so maybe from your ultimate damage, and then you use this to proc the stacks and apply the extra bonus damage to nuke them down. It has no scaling, by the way, so it will do the same damage no matter what build you go, but it does scale with rank, so it does way more rank 5. I think this is going to be a lot better. You're going to be really bursty, you're going to be able to snipe people, which will be a really cool thing to have as a Varus, but either you use it to snipe somebody properly, or you just use it in your normal rotation to do more damage. It's pretty good. I actually don't see a downside to this, apart from the fact you have to activate it first of all and use it properly, and if you waste it, 40-second cooldown, which sucks, but it should just be more damage. Okay, so a few other champion changes as well, like Lux's Q damage is going to be going up, mana cost down a little bit, and her W is now always going to have 2 times the base value shield, whether it hits an ally or not. They are real determined to make her good, it seems. Like, she's getting so many buffs recently. They aren't massive though, and if anything, these are aimed at making the supporty kind of side of her better, not really her damage. They seem to really want to turn her kind of into an Orianna, right? That's what it feels like. Like, good damage, but the backup of helping her team as well at the same time. Not exactly sure if that fits with the poke champion, but if they keep going, then eventually she's just going to be better. That is also eventually better at higher ranks, because I think she's already good at lower ones normally, or at least has a decent win rate like pretty much every patch. It's one of those weird things where if they buff her like over time and stuff, she'll be broken at one elo and then normal at another. But the biggest nerf of this patch, actually ridiculous, honestly. Like, Janna's base move speed is going down by 5 and her W damage is lowered by 5 as well. I'm honestly not sure what they were thinking with these. Like, is it really even worth putting something like this on the PB? It seems like it's not worth the effort, really. Janna's damage is probably a little bit on the high side, but 5 damage off is not going to do much when it's already doing 235 damage already normally. Anyway, one that is a bit bigger, well, actually much bigger, is to Vice. So there are lots of like base stat stuff for better scaling. Your passive shield is going to be a bit better. Q cooldown is going to be lower. Your W attack speed a bit different as well, and your E mana cost lower. These are strange buffs, but her clearing should in theory be a lot better in the jungle if you were going to max your W. The weird thing about that is most people max their Q. W really isn't max at all, which is lower cooldown. That's great. 6 seconds less, way less punishing if you miss it, but you should be farming better, right? That's the main thing. If you don't run out of mana first. You're also going to be staying a bit healthier in the jungle with more passive shields, and then that should mean you can gank a bit more. These changes might not seem like a ton, and it probably doesn't make her top tier or anything, but improving her farm speed and how much health you have at the end of that farm means you can gank way more overall, and that's really good for a jungler. Now we're going to have some smaller champion changes though. So Braum, like his armor growth is going to be lowered and his E damage reduction lower as well. It should make Braum a little bit less tanky. And remember, people don't max their E first. So that is going to be 10% less for the whole lane phase and probably the start of team fights as well. Speaking of ADs, Kai'Sa is getting a few nerfs. I was kind of hoping for more here, more than just like health regen down and your Q AD ratio being lowered by 5%. We'll have to see. Maybe we're going to get a few more of these as we get further into the cycle, but Kai'Sa is so strong right now. Your Q damage is a good thing to hit. It's a bit too high, I think, for something that upgrades into a crazy level of damage that auto targets for you and locks on as well, so it's not even a skill shot. Nautilus is another one getting a few small changes. Base mana, base AD up, Q cooldown lowered by 4 seconds, rank 1. It should be making him fight a little bit more as a support or a top laner. Either one, your Q is your way to engage, right, and pick fights, so having that up more often is going to mean that you can try and get things going a little bit more. He just doesn't really have as much damage though compared to other tanks right now. That seems to be the problem. Last change we're going to look at is to Tahm Kench. W is no longer going to give move speed toward an enemy champion when he has an ally in his belly, and his E total health restored lowered by 10%. So Tahm has become one of the best supports to have as a playmaker with his ultimate and a get out of jail free card at the same time, which is a really good combo to have. It just means that he should be one, easier to nuke down in the lane phase, which will be really nice, so he can't restore as much health with his great health, and two, you cannot chase people down as easily and actually get a few more kills. So that wraps up our look into 8.8. Let me know what you think of the new Open Spellbook, probably the biggest change of this patch, even though we have the Ahri rework and the LeBlanc rework at the same time. But for now, I will leave you with the robots.